I wasn't always the handsome, resplendent being you see before you. That's me. I had the red hair, the teeth that were too large for my head. I was short, I was skinny, I was immature, and I went to school in Barnsley. I also had, this is a posh accent as far as Barnsley is concerned. So bullying was a bit of a problem, as you can imagine. Bullying, it was a bear pit. So I had to develop a technique for dealing with that. My technique was to be as irritating as possible to hit. I couldn't avoid being hit, but I could make it not worthwhile. So I would rip the piss out of anybody that attempted to bully me. And on at least 2 occasions, I had lads standing over me going, "You know what, Curry, you're not bloody worth it." And I'm going, "That's the point." So I built up a certain response to being bullied that maybe hasn't served me very well for the rest of my life, because I still behave that way, to be honest. In 2011, we set up the Cheap Thrills Zero Budget Film Festival, which has been an absolute joy. And the reason it works really is the Pittsmore audience. Loads of you come to Cheap Thrills, I can see the faces here, and you're a lovely warm audience, and you pack into that chapel in the cemetery with no heating, very little lighting, and one toilet with a door that doesn't lock, and no sink, and sometimes no flush. And obviously we're not insured. We are a zero budget, after all. And in fact, this one is very similar. Right. Anyway, in 2014, I received an email, and it went like this. Name, Richard Hooban. Subject, cease and desist. This film festival is in trademark and copyright violation. This is a polite cease and desist. Thank you. And I'd like to invite Frankie on, my eldest son.
Yeah, this is my dad. Yeah.
I felt like I was being bullied, and I looked up Richard Hooban, and I looked up his film festival, and indeed we were in copyright trademark violation. I mean, his festival had been around longer than us, but it was quite a different sort of thing. You had to pay to enter it, and there were prizes, and he dealt with feature films, and we didn't do feature films. We did stupid little films about biscuit-based martial arts. So, however, I looked at his email and I realised he never specified which festival was actually a copyright violation. So I decided to reverse things and sow the seeds of confusion. So I wrote.
Dear Richard, I looked at some details and it seemed you're absolutely correct. This Zero Film Fest you mentioned seems to think they have exclusivity over a concept I know is widespread. The word zero is in pretty common usage, and there are lots of film fests. So as much as I sympathise with their having such an entirely unoriginal name, I hardly think this amounts to a threat. I think your cease and desist, however polite, should be changed to a live and let live. Their activities seem benign enough, and even if, as you assert, this festival is in trademark and copyright violation, well, their hearts seem to be in the right place. Indeed, I share many of their aims, so I thank you for so staunchly leaping to our defence, and I beg you not to worry. I'm happy for them to continue in their excellent activities with their somewhat generic name, and see no reason to be a litigious knob about it. Thank you, Martin Curry.
We disagree. We take it very seriously. Zero Budget Film Festival, that's the first time I've used the word budget, is our business entity. We are based in New York and London. Get him. Please consider this a polite cease and desist, and the next communication will be from a legal representative. Thank you.
Richard, calling our Zero Budget Film Festival a business entity is overstating matters somewhat. We don't accept money for anything we do, but you're right, we do take it seriously. As yet, we operate in neither city you mentioned, so I don't know where you got that from. The Zero Film Fest seems to me to be a pleasant enough bunch, and I see no need to involve the legal professionals. I thank you for drawing them to my attention, but find your antipathy towards them puzzling. I see no threat from them, and beg you not to get into such a foolish fight on our behalf. Chill. Thank you, Martin Curry.
Try using the name No Budget. We take everything very seriously. And we send these emails about 1 or 2 times a year as necessary. If you had used the name Sundance, you wouldn't have received a polite email first before legal action.
Richard, I'm confused. Have you really sent these messages to the Zero Film Fest people? Do you really take everything seriously? This sounds like a medical condition. I'm beginning to worry about you. I'm pleased that you send these emails so infrequently, and I'm sure you've told the recipients about your condition. They would understand. I find your suggestion that we use the name Sundance a trifle mischievous, so I think there's real hope for you. However, I cannot describe your communication style as polite. Simply stating it as polite is not quite the same thing. We have already gone into your condition, and I suppose it will manifest itself in many different ways. Thank you, Martin Curry.
We will chill and not be a knob as soon as you are cease and desisted in copyright infringement and are in compliance with the law. A formal cease and desist will come before the end of the week and from our legal representative in London. Thank you for your understanding.
Will the cease be formal all the time, or will it relax once the desist arrives? Do they have any dietary requirements? Should 2 random words be sent back in reply? I'm unsure of the etiquette. I'm sure the Zero Film Fest people will be too. I am pleased that you recognise and embrace your condition, and aspire to be chilling in the near future. I think your story of gradual recovery is heartwarming. Can I publish it on Facebook? I am thinking of writing a song based on your struggle. I'll keep you in the loop as I work on it. I find your bravery inspiring. Maybe you can work on a little dance, but not a sun dance. Hey, you rogue you. I enjoy our chats. Zero, hero, dinero. It's going to write itself. Thank you, Martin Curry.
To anyone who is in copyright infringement of Zero Budget Film Festival, the cease and desist will come on Friday. Your response will determine the next courses of action. I've also sent the cease and desist to your website host. Thank you.
Richard, I'm concerned you have adopted the word budget, your capitals, during this correspondence. I admit it sits well amongst the other words that surround it. Indeed, that is the reason I put it there. But you can't go grabbing other people's stuff then claiming it is yours. I suspect this goes back to your unhappy childhood. But I'm not qualified to diagnose your overdeveloped sense of entitlement, and instead offer my sympathy. Thank you for informing me of the arrival of both cease and desist. I'll clear some shelf space for them. I'm sure they'll be tired after their travels to my host. I'm considering a number of 2-word replies, but wish to use them with care. How's Little Dance coming along? Thank you, Martin Curry.
Your host will be contacting you shortly to remove your site.
Clear it's time to negotiate. The words in dispute seem to be Zero Budget Film Festival. Now I can see why you want to snatch the word budget. After all, Zero Film Festival made it sound like you had no films, and that's just stupid. But nevertheless, simply wading in and waving lawyers at me is no way to behave. You also suggested the word no, so let's throw that in there. I, perhaps unwisely, threw in the word knob. Now share and share alike. Neither of us can lay claim to film or festival, but fair's fair, we'll take one each. You seem particularly grabby about zero. I'm hanging on to budget, so if I get no budget film, you can have the other 3 words. See what you can make of them. Sorted.
I thought that was pretty witty. But all he wrote back was, that would work for us. At which point I told him to get somebody to explain to him what he just agreed to. However, I regard this as a victory for Richard Hooban in a way, because he beat me through sheer stupidity. So certain was he that he could write letters off to people and they would immediately cave in, that he just maintained that certainty throughout. And he saw my negotiation at the end as a genuine negotiation, and he was just sort of confused by the rest of it. In fact, I don't think he even read the emails. I think he just scanned them. So I still have a certain mixed feelings about that, and I feel that I haven't inflicted sufficient damage on Richard Hooban. So, Richard, if you're watching, I think you are. Remember that little song I mentioned? Well, I wrote it. Are you going to sing it as well?
No. Strangely enough, I do not want to send a video of me singing a song to a man who's going to sue us. You go ahead.
Alright. Children are harsh. Will you cease and desist? It is pointless to resist. I insist, comply with the law. And no, I will not chill until you bend to my will. My festival is bigger than yours. Martin, don't you understand? As I wipe away a tear, oh, But behind all my demands, we are fighting with a zero. I might want you banned, but I'm reaching out to you, man. Don't you know that Richard Hooban's only human? Richard Hooban's only human. Your wits will do no good, ignored, not understood, as I defend my business entity. And although you confuse me, you cannot refuse me. My victory is due to my absolute certainty. Martin, don't you understand? As I wipe away a tear, oh, that behind all my demands, we are fighting over zero. So get off my naughty list. Just cease and desist. Don't you know that Richard Hooban's only human? Richard Hooban's only human. He's just an ordinary guy, you know? And now I stand before all the people of Pittsmore and realise that I'm bullying you. But you asked for it when you hit us with that writ, and you're full of shit threats to sue. So send me legal letters that never will appear. You ended up with all you asked for, a great big fat zero. You aimed, you fired, you missed. Now cease and desist, you deluded fantasist, Richard Hooban. Come on.